July the 12th, Swan Upping. Today, Londoners focus on their mute swans. Two city companies, the Vintners and the Dyers, got permission in Edward III's reign to own some of the swans on the river between London and Henley. Today, traditionally, they set about marking or upping their swans to denote ownership. One nick on the beak of a cygnet means it belongs to the Dyers, two to the Vintners, and no nick whatsoever means it is entirely the property of the king. No one was ever allowed to touch the sovereign swans. Proud of their flock, the swan masters would set off from the city with two wine porters sweeping the streets before them. They walked down to the river, where they boarded a flag-bedecked boat near Southwark Bridge. Once they had completed their upping, they had a banquet, which invariably included one of their swans roasted. Londoners have always had great affection for these birds, which have been partially domesticated since medieval times, which may well account for their tameness. Edward III decided to protect them, and Henry VII decreed a year and a day's imprisonment for anyone who stole one of their eggs. Always a table bird, Disraeli is said to have served one stuffed with truffles. Things went well until the 1960s, when the lead weights used by fishermen and the lead shot used by wildfowlers led to them being poisoned. This poignant sight of a swan along the Thames can be seen again. Although they are called mute, both the cob and the pen can hiss, grunt, growl, or even snort. They are believed to be the heaviest bird that can fly, and they produce a strange sound as they do so. It is created by the sloughing of their wings, producing a noise not unlike wheezy bellows. At one time, some people were thought to turn into swans when they died, and they were also believed to carry human souls to their final resting place. Hemp nettles, woundworts, calamints, and germanders. Quite a few common plants with mint or thyme-shaped leaves, labiati, have already been seen this year. Most noticeably, there are red and white dead nettle, yellow archangel, henbit, self-heal, ground ivy, and bugle. This month, a much wider range of this family are coming into flower, and consequently it is an excellent time to become familiar with the smaller, more delicate species, many of which have purple or blue flowers. Hemp nettles tend to look like hairy dead nettles. The common hemp nettle, Galliopsis tetrahate, is widely distributed in London. One of the beauties of this group is the red hemp nettle, Galliopsis augustifolia. This was an old cornfield weed and is now very scarce. The same is true for the large-flowered hemp nettle, Galliopsis speciosa, which has primrose yellow flowers with purple lips. It occasionally turns up in chalk pits. Of our woundworts, hedge woundwort, Stachys sylvatica, is the most common. It can be found in almost every part of London. Woundworts got their name because they were used to staunch blood flow, especially from scythe and stab wounds. It was even thought they stopped hemorrhaging if eaten. For this purpose, it was the marsh woundwort, Stachys palustris, that was used the most. It is still common beside rivers and canals on the western edge of London. Field woundwort, Stachys arvensis, and downley woundwort, Stachys germanica, which used to be found in ploughed fields, are found no longer. However, a close relation, lamb's ears, Stachys lanata from Iraq, is a common sight in many gardens, as well as being one of the most tactile of all our plants. It is grown for its white, felty leaves rather than its flowers. In just the same way we get a feeling of well-being stroking the fur of an animal, the same is true when you touch the leaves of this plant, hence its alternative name of donkey's ears. Carder bees single it out to collect the felt that they need for their nests. The calamints are a pleasantly aromatic group, which are not necessarily minty. Common calamint, Calaminta ascendens, has one of the more unusual distributions in London. It seems restricted to a narrow area of southwest London, where lanes have been cut through the chalk leading down into Kent. Its leaves have a pleasant scent, which has been described as somewhere between mint and cough medicine. The leaves used to be collected this month and used to mask the smell of hung meat. Lesser calamint, Calaminta nepeta, is much rarer, but may still be worth looking out for around Lesners Abbey. It is a greyer plant altogether, with much paler flowers and less aromatic. Calamints were much more famous in ancient times, when they were thought to be one of the few protections, other than a mirror, against the basilisk. The basilisk was the king of serpents, hatched by a snake from a cock's egg. A mere glance from this formidable creature, or even a hint of its breath, were both considered fatal. London possesses only one germander, and this is the 7-centimetre high cut-leaved germander, Tucris botrytis. It is said to be London's rarest plant, and still manages to hold on in one or two spots on bare disturbed chalk near Chichester, where it has become something of a mecca for botanists. The purple and red flowers have been described as having a jewel-like quality. The only other teucrium is wood sage, Teucrium scorodonia, which is still common enough in the dapple shade of woods and easily recognized by its sage-like leaves. It is a plant which, if taken from the wild and planted in a garden, thrives better than most. This could account for its use in gardens, championed by Gertrude Jekyll, the famous Victorian garden designer. Two other commonly seen garden relatives of this plant are lemon balm, Melissa officinalis, and catmint, Nepeta cataria, both of which are grown for their scents. Bastard balm, Melittis melissophyllum, and claret, Salvia verbenaca, are less common, but grown purely for their beauty. Motherwort, Leonoris cardiaca, is the poor relation, being neither beautiful nor pleasantly scented. Its main claim to fame was that it could ease childbirth. It can still be found in collections, for example, at South London Botanical Institute.